also. And then we have people on YouTube who watch the live streaming, so they will interact through um, comments. So we'll pick their comments from time to time, and we'll go through it. But yeah, I think Shabbir, we are probably live at this point.
Yes, we are live. We are live.
Okay.
So, good evening, all of you, dear viewers on the YouTube, all dear aspirants, Hemant and others on our course. With us, we have Puru Dube. This is a special session. We didn't plan it that way initially, but then we decided it'll be good exposure for all of you. So, Puru is this year's topper, rank 86, and he is into Indian Foreign Service, IFS. And a very remarkable journey. We'll hear from him what experience was and how he managed his subject, his GS. He has had a good range of marks. Almost qualifies se lekar, again a debacle, again coming back. It's a nice, interesting journey he had. Hi Kevin, hi Avinash, Kaushik, Ramesh, Hemant. So welcome Puru to our YouTube session. Deb and Puru, you have to share something before we start off. Puru, you are on mute if you want to say something. So yeah, please, I leave it to you. Introduce yourself quickly maybe. And Deb, you can start off and we'll be on.
Thank you, sir, for providing the platform. I was a student of yours, and today I'm taking a session with you. So it's an honor for me. And for those of you who do not know me, my name is Puru Dube. I have secured, with God's grace, All India rank 86 this year. I will be joining the Indian Foreign Services, and this was my fourth attempt. It has been a long and a grueling journey, but I have had a lot to learn and try to share some of it to you.
Wonderful,
Wow. Wonderful.
And I'm really glad, Shabbir, that we had the opportunity of hosting Puru, because we always say things that are from a teacher's perspective, right? This is what you should do and this is what you should not do. But I think when it comes from a fellow aspirant, it's a different story. I see the same story unfold in my family. For example, if I'm telling something to my son, right, he'll never listen. But if the same thing comes from his friend, he'll be like, "Oh, my friend said this, right? We should be doing this." So I think what happens is that when you speak to an aspirant, you identify with somebody like you, which is very different. So I think Puru will let you go a little bit, talk a little bit about your broader thing, but definitely want you to focus on essays. And one of the things Shabbir and I have been telling the students almost every session is that essay writing is not really about writing. It is about thinking things properly, critical thinking. So one of the things that we try and do is make sure students are not jumping into the things. But before I go too much into that, I think Puru, tell us a little bit about your preparation journey, and especially with essays, what did you do? I think we have so many questions, right? Because it is also learning from your experience of what worked for you, how did you decide what works and what doesn't work. So let's start with a little bit of a free flowing experience, and then we can move. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sir, I started preparing for UPSC in the last years of my college. So it was 1st January 2021 when I had decided that I would give myself completely to this preparation. And I would take the 2022 attempt, year attempt as my first. And this is the fourth attempt when I finally cleared. And with regards to essay preparation, this is the most confusing aspect of UPSC mains because my marks in the essay paper have fluctuated from as good as 128 to as bad as 92. So I never could get a hold of what really the examiner wants. I remember coming to you, uh, confused that what is exactly that the examiner wants. So in the last attempt of essay preparation was when I finally got hold or got an idea, rough idea of what the essay exam really wants. Initially, in my earlier attempts, I had a sea of content prepared with me. Name a philosopher, name a book or a movie reference to place in the essay paper. I had all of them ready. But what I was missing was the art or the organic nature of essay writing. And in this attempt, I have been given 115 marks, fairly decent. And what I was able to gather in this attempt was to the ability to appreciate the uh, depth of discussion that is required in essay, the relevance and the direction and the tone in which the essay must flow, and also originality of presentation was something that I learned in this attempt. So this is about my preparation briefly. In the last year, in the last attempt, I attempted various essays, got them, had the privilege to get them checked by you, Shabbir Sir, personally, got personalized advice and tried to implement them in the essay paper. And thankfully, everything went well. So here I am.
Bravo, bravo, Puru. My wishes to you. And the best part, Dave, I think Puru was expecting more marks. Okay, I asked him, what was his, what topics you write on, Puru, this year in essay? You wrote on, I think, one topic was, you wrote on was best lessons are learned through bitter experiences. And from section B, you wrote on, it is best to see life as a journey, not as a destination.
Yes.
Right? So, we'll have a free-flowing conversation here. So, one question to you, Puru. What do you think worked for you in your first essay? You say 128 is a brilliant mark. And what do you think, you were making mistakes in before you rectified it? So if you can be pinpointed there, because you say you have read lots, you have a good content in philosophy, you come from very good education background. So what worked then and what do you think you missed out in between? Because interestingly, Deb, his marks was as high as 128, then it was a dip 1112, and further dip to I think 92, and then he came back with 115. He expected to get even higher marks.
I think this is like the hero's journey. क्या होता है, right? You step in the field, and you whack the ball, and suddenly you hit it right at the spot you want, and it goes for a 6, and you think, okay, ho gaya, I understood. But then the real story starts. The swing ball comes or the googly comes, and then you realize, I didn't really understand it. But then when you do that and you go through the motion, then the stronger you emerges. This is sort of what in writing parlance we call the hero's journey, right? There is excitement, call to adventure, you do well, but then you kind of fall into the abyss, and then you pick up the pieces and rise again. So Puru, in other words, what Shabbir is saying is, असली स्टोरी जो है तुम्हारा वो बाहर निकल के आना चाहिए, right? What exactly was going wrong in your prep? What were sort of the doubts in your head? In fact, how the doubts started creeping in, because पहले अच्छा था, and then you must have done something wrong, and the doubts would have started coming in, and then you would have seen those doubts and you would have figured out the way forward. That is the real story, actually.
Sir, in the first attempt, when I scored 128, I had no help. It was my first attempt. I had no time to prepare even. So I wrote out of my heart, and I chose the topic those were closest to my heart, that I had read fairly about, and the arguments also flowed naturally. I think this might have worked, although I have a vague recollection of what I exactly wrote in 4 years back. But later in the preparation was when I started to spoil the game by taking unnecessary help, frameworks, methods, embellishments, and all. So, and in the third attempt, when the marks went down as low as 92, I reflected upon it and I discovered that I had missed the tone of the question, the demand of the question. I had gone astray, and this will definitely hurt anyone. So, in this attempt, my focus was mainly on understanding the demand of the question, choosing the topic that speaks the most to me, that is closest to my heart, and I had certain clarity about the level of depth of discussion that the topic demanded. I gave arguments, opened them threadbare, went through them in depth, used examples not just for the sake of them, but explored them, linking them to my arguments. So, and this is an art that I gathered by intensive writing and reflection and feedback in these 3 months that I had with the preparation. I did not do anything new per se. I had more time to reflect. I tried to understand what the paper really demands, and subtle changes here and there. But overall, I tried originality, I think, might have worked.
Originality.
In the actual paper, I was also able to compose a quartet at the beginning of the essay, which was my own, of course. And this reflected that I was writing with a peace of mind, and I was able to fill the paper with original content. So I think this might have worked.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Shabbir, you and I always talk about genuineness, right? And I think this is
Authenticity.
what we were explaining to students in some of the evaluation sessions, live evaluation sessions, where we took an answer sheet and we were telling students what we were feeling as evaluators as we were seeing this answer. And one of the things that we focused on is genuineness. I think, Puru, मुझे लगता है कि first time what happened is you approached the paper with some freshness in your mind, right? You were not corrupted by the pestle frameworks or other frameworks of the world. And this is one more thing I think is Shabbir and my pet peeve is that students try to apply a solution method before understanding the problem. And then to me, I'm just paraphrasing what you are saying. And in the next iteration, what you did is you focused on the problem, the demand of the question. You focused on understanding the problem, and then applying a solution framework. And the genuineness comes through. So this is super. Exactly. So Sneha, Rakesh, Ramesh, Kaushik, Kevin, Avnish, Hemant. Keep asking questions if you have any. This is the opportunity for you. And I think this is something of a real, opportunity to hai, but I think to crystallize some of the things, doubts in your mind, right? So I think I'm sure that as we, Shabbir and I, tell you stuff, you may be hearing them, but you may not be listening to them, right? So you may not actually internalizing them and putting them in work because you are not convinced. Hota hai aisa, right? When we say something, twice, thrice, 4 times, then the convincing comes later. But definitely ask questions.
So
So
if I may,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, Deb, please.
No, I think you should go ahead. I know you had a question. I have a couple, but let's
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. One question to you, Puru. You very specifically mentioned that you were able to understand the tone of the topic. Okay. Can you elaborate that a bit? Okay. What do you mean by tone of the topic? What do you mean by understand demand of the topic? So how do you do that, and what do you exactly mean by that when you approach an essay topic?
Sir, I'll take one example.
Yeah, please.
The essay I chose, uh, best lessons are learned through bitter experiences. I think this was how the topic was. Uh, this topic has various implied meanings as well as direct meanings.
Mhm.
The first implied meaning is for me was that human beings learn through experiences, but the best lessons are derived through bitter experiences. And this is what the demand of the topic was, to prove that bitter experiences teach us the most. Although we may learn through good experiences, but it is the bitter experiences that get etched into our memory, that get carved into our life, that we start living. So I started my essay. Of course, the anecdote was a hook to captivate the reader. But after the thesis part, I started with a discussion on how experience is how human beings learn. And then I drifted towards how bitter experiences are special for human beings. They are those which teach us the most. And I had, in the brainstorming part, I had thought about 4 or 5 arguments on the same. I explored them in the actual essay. I used various examples, case studies. I cannot remember all of them, but I tried to delve into them deeply, as you had suggested me in sometimes when I met you. And this is how it went. And it was an exercise that I did in flow. I do not. I started writing the essay, and when I finished it, I did not even. I was not conscious of it. I was just going in the flow. So it started happening automatically. So I was very happy with my experience overall.
So
And
if I, yeah, sorry, go on.
yes, sir, you may.
So if I'm emphasizing that uh, you you pay a lot of attention on the word bitter experiences, not a generic one that we learn from experiences, but you identify the key word was not experience, the key word was bitter experiences. That is what you mean by getting the tone of the topic, how to address the demand topic. So reading the topic consciously a couple of times and define the keywords. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes, sir. This is what I mean by it. Uh, the implied meaning has to be covered only briefly, but the topic demands of us to explore what bitter experiences are and why they matter to human beings more than other kinds of experience do. And this is at, I would say, the soul of the essay, because you used to say in some, you said in some of your classes that if I have written some heading for an essay, then I must be able to prove it in the 1,000, 1,200 words that I'm using to write my essay. So, and I used some, like I said, I used various arguments, try to substantiate them.
Puru, I have a question here. I think what you're trying to describe is एक topic तुम्हें मिला, right? You see a topic. There is something happening in your brain in the first 2-3 minutes after seeing the topic. Okay, so we have a process for it, right? Intent, paraphrase, keywords, ये सब हम लोग सिखाते हैं. But ultimately ये techniques को लेके your brain does something in the first 2 minutes. Okay, तो if you can walk through कि मैं okay, I see this bitter experiences essay topic. ये दो मैं, you know, how do you train yourself, or how have you trained yourself that this is what I will do the moment I see the topic?
Yeah.
Sir, from my own experience in the third attempt, since I had gone astray and I had missed the topic, so I thought that I'll read the topic and think about it for at least 1 or 2 minutes. and not to miss the demand this time. Uh, but to while I was preparing for this paper, in the actual essay paper, I did not have to consciously think about it because it started coming naturally. But while I was preparing for it, I used to ask some very basic questions, that why is it that bitter experiences are teaching us the best lessons? How is it that the bitter experiences? Do human beings learn only through bitter experiences? And uh, what about those people who do not learn through experiences or do not learn through bitter experiences? Are they doomed to repeat it? Are they are they doomed to get the bitter experiences again? So these very basic questions uh, gave me a sufficient amount of direction or content to proceed in the essay with.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, just paraphrasing again what you are saying, I think you took the questioning method, or you applied Socratic inquiry on the essay topic, right? You're saying, okay, what questions I can ask? And I know, Shabbir, one of the videos you talked about this. And this, I'm telling this for the benefit of everybody, that look, this, don't get again boxed into keywords ही निकालना है मुझे, या paraphrase ही करना है. See, these are techniques, but these techniques get all rolled up into an approach. And approach Puru followed was, let me ask questions, and that same question asking can give you the keywords, can give you the paraphrase, can give you the intent, can give you the right keys. Hemant, you have a question? Yeah, let me not take all the airtime. Hemant, you can say what question you have.
First of all, congratulations, Puru sir, for clearing the UPSC. So I have a question. Like when you said you float and get disturbed, but sir, when I'm writing like the essay topics, sometimes my flow get disturbed. I get like out of the ideas, will give up to my writing as well as thinking. So sir, to tackle that problem, what you do, sir?
Hemant, the network is not very good. I could make out much of what you said. I don't know if Puri you understood or not.
No, sir.
Maybe Hemant, you can type it. You have a network problem, maybe. Like you type the doubt, we'll ask on your behalf. Taking the conversation ahead, Puru, while Hemant does the typing.
So, in the meantime, Shabbir, there are many other questions on YouTube.
Yeah. We have quite a range of questions. Okay, this is interesting one. Shubhan Shula, he is restless. Same question 3 baar chap chuka hai. Should I write with the positive side of the topic and also highlight the negative sides when I give my vision experience in an essay? Shubhan Shula, okay. I'll leave it to you, Puru. You can see the comment. Okay, typical formula. What will you tell him?
This reminds me, Shabbir, of another essay topic. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Okay, so Subhanshu, you asked the question 3 times, and Shabbir picked it up ahead of some of the other questions that were there. So, well done. Yeah, Puru, what would you say about that?
Sir, this question lies in the terrain of opinion, and my opinion in this is that most of the questions that we get are not argumentative, in which we have to write 50% on this side, 50% on that side. These are assertions. Topic itself is a wisdom that has been told to us, and only if we agree with it that we write 1,000 or 1,200 words. So writing on the against the topic can be done, but only very briefly, and that should not interfere with the direction in which the essay is flowing. This is my take on it.
Subhanshullah, basically, there's not a formula. Every topic must have positive and negative. You have to understand the tone of the topic. Okay. So, I mean, your doubt tells me, Subhanshullah, you are not yet into the essay writing phase right now. Okay. But there's no formula as such. Okay. Interesting question of Kevin. When is the right time to start preparing for essays for 27? Given an aspirant is starting fresh this year.
Sir, I would say now is the right time.
Now is the
Because,
right time. Can you elaborate on that?
sir,
Why now
because
and what does it take and what mistakes people do in preparation?
so it is because essay is the paper which resonates largest with the personality, and personality cannot be built in a day or in a month, or cannot be built through methods and hacks. Uh, in
Okay.
essay, we are required to write 1,000, 1,200 words about a topic that we have not heard of beforehand. And the originality of the arguments, the depth of exploration will happen only when you have nurtured the art of answer writing. Things should flow out organically, and flow should be there while writing the essay. And it takes time. It takes time to digest, to chew upon the material that or the classes that we are given in this course or any other course for that matter. And so essay preparation, my suggestion would be start as early as you can. Have a fairly good reading material. Get a grasp of all the relevant philosophers of the present time, movies, cinemas, and try to digest upon them, to reflect upon them, engage with the topics, the current affairs, and only then can you write uh, what is demanded by the UPSC.
Yeah, so
Wow.
Shabbir, this is our I told you so moment. Okay, so I think students always ask, sir, कब join करूं, and we always say that right now, right? It's not like because we want to want you to join our course, but really there is no other way, right? There is no other way to build this capability of critical thinking. The time is right now. Actually, I would say even qualified, the time is as of yesterday. You should have started this yesterday. So if you haven't, start it today. Puru, you had something in there. I want to ask you another question. You talked about reading material. Okay. And several students have asked me this, but I would love them to hear from you directly. What kind of things did you read to prepare for essays?
Sir, there are two kinds of reading that one does, one for leisure and one for the exam. So, for leisure, I have read philosophy, I have read novels, I have read literature, and UPSC, due to UPSC preparation, I had to take a break. I could not read that profusely, but still, mm, I'm more than I've read more than average aspirants. But for essay, uh, one can find that there are very few values and themes being repeated almost every year and every cycle, like
Yes.
love, happiness, life as a journey, contentment, gratitude. All these are being repeated throughout. And if one finds all the relevant philosophers on these topics, all the relevant movies on these topics, books, novels, then one already has the content prepared before writing the answer. It, but before, while preparing the content, one must take into note that uh, the word is not the thing. As my favorite philosopher says, the word is not the thing. So one must be ready to appreciate the essence of what is being said by the philosopher. One has to eventually put it down in his own words. So try to engage with the thinkers, the books, the cinemas. Have your own opinion about them, and only then can you write them in your own words.
अरे ये तो
So,
पुरु you said something very very zen, right? Shabir, I
yes.
was reminded of that. Um, when you watch the finger pointing to the moon, they say, then you can't see the moon, you see the finger. And to see the moon, you have to stop looking at the finger. So the word is not the real thing, the meaning is the real thing, meaning of the word. Wonderful, wonderful. I think that's a good. Hopefully, you guys all caught that what Puru said about reading habits, and I think in our reading sessions, Shabbir and I try to do that. Right, bring in things that you can use for specific themes that are recurring. Right, courage, happiness, contentment, We all know what those are. So I think that was a great point, Puru. Kaushik has a question. Next one, Shabir, let's pick that up.
Yeah.
He says, "Sir, peace of mind while attempting the paper. How do we bring it? Must have invested a lot of time in making it organic." Like, I think he's referring to the flow that you talked about, Puru. That, it's an organic thing that you are able to get to, right? You are in a flow and you are writing it. Anything on the process and practice part of the preparation? How did that flow actually emerge? How did that flow come? And I think Hemant's question is exactly that. He put it in words also.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
reading it for your benefit. He says, when I write the essay, sometimes my flow breaks and I am lost. Like, I don't know where to go. So, what do you want to say about your flow, Puru?
So here too, there are two things. One is the capability aspect or the skill aspect, and the other is the mindset during the paper. So I'll start with the capability or the skill. There's no easy way, if I have to say. Practice, analyzing, and feedback, working upon the feedback, is essential to develop an art of answer writing or essay writing in this paper. And but most importantly, what I've found is that one has to care deeply enough. If I am not caring about the topics, the things that are happening around me, if I do not uh, live with the ideas which I'm writing about, how will I be able to write 1000 or 1200 words? If there is a war happening in Iran, I must be concerned about it. Only then can I write so deeply about it, engage the examiner with it. So one has to care, and when one cares, one returns to the topic, one revises it, one tries to understand various perspectives and engages with it, introspects upon it. Only then can, at least for me, the flow part on the capability front came only by caring enough. About the mindset, uh, quite often it happens that we are too worried about how we might perform in the examination. And it is natural as an aspirant to care about it because we are investing so much. But eventually one has to discover, as I discovered for myself, that uh, one is never in control. Things happen, and the idea of doership is also misplaced. So one has to surrender everything to whatever is happening and have faith in the process, have faith in whatever the divine will is, I would say, in religious terms, and uh, just give your paper.
Wow, wow. No, I think those were some very profound observation. The one thing I took away is you actually cannot critically think about a topic unless you really care, because it will be at a superficial level, and it will be like, oh, I just want an answer to this question, and you are not prepared to invest the time if you don't care. And if you are not investing the time, you'll be in a hurry to get a answer to the question and move on, and in that case you're not going deep. Brilliant, brilliant. I think I love that. And I think the second thing I learned from your answer is to know that, I think Shabbir and I also talk about this, that you plan, right? You plan and you get into the ring. But when the first punch lands, all your plan goes for a toss, right? All your plan goes for a toss, and you must accept it. That's what you're telling us, that you must accept it, that your flow can break, that things can happen outside your control, and how you move through that with that acceptance is, yeah, see, this is resilience also, right? This is also what we write as essay, because at every step, don't get disheartened and be resilient and see how you can pick up the pieces. Brilliant, wonderful. I loved your answer.
Just to add to this, maybe all our viewers and aspirants, you must listen to what Puru tells you uh, also like he's your competitor. I mean, he struggled through this, and there's a lot of wisdom with which Puru is talking. Experience hai, wisdom hai, therao hai. You see a man who is been grinding through the process. I was telling Puru before this session, he has that conduct of a typical diplomat, conduct of a foreign officer, composed, soft, lot of clarity. And to highlight this point, all of you gentlemen and dear students, interview he has got what, 209, right?
Yes.
209. That's a crazy mark if you understand what kind of marks otherwise people get. So it reflects, your essay writing is actually a reflection of your personality. These words, no, that you care for something, you can't artificially do it. The flow cannot come artificially. The flow has to come only when it's part of you, you have thought through it. I mean, Puru used one phrase while talking to me before this session. Okay, while I had a lot of knowledge in my first one or two attempts, okay, but the wisdom was missing. He had done a lot of reading, he has done the course completion, but the wisdom that comes with living the issue, caring for the issue. So it's not something, it happens overnight through a hack. It only happens when reading. And Puru, if you'll allow me to share, Puru is a very, very ardent reader. He explores Advait philosophy. So he already has a lot of thinking going on in his mind already. So answering Kaushik, you and Hemant, okay, you have to be patient in the process. Okay, critical thinking personality is not something you can develop last 15 days. Okay, I can go on and on this. Aish is asking, sir, not just philosophical depth, but the voice and tone reflects the maturity UPSC looks for. Truly shows why it's scored so well. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, they are looking for essay topics demand maturity. Essay topics demand appreciation where you really, really, truly care about some things you've thought about it. Absolutely. Yes, Hemant, I echo that. So wishes from all of us here. So Puru, आप एक बात बताएं, continuing the conversation here. I mean, if a student must start to learn essay writing, what are the 2-3 things he must be consciously doing? Like say he's giving 27 attempt दे रहा है, okay, 2-3 things. So क्या कम से कम ये पढ़ ले या इतना लिख ले, ऐसा कुछ है आपके पास कि वो शुरू कर ले, okay, it can build eventually.
Sir, since this is the most, there is no one method to essay preparation, but I can suggest that one should start writing as early as possible. And one should start writing without any method, any hack. One should write even daily if one can manage. I wrote, I'm an amateur poet. I try to write when I'm overwhelmed by emotions. I try to write whatever I'm thinking, reflecting on my daily life. So one should have a habit of writing. This brings clarity in terms of thought also. When one reflects on what has written, one finds that one is not able to communicate the same thing in one idea in one sentence. This eventually one will be able to do that when one goes back to what has written and analyzes it and submit it to ChatGPT. Ask to find faults, maybe beautify it, embellish it with some metaphors, some other things in forms of speech in English literature. Also, sir, right guidance is also very important because in UPSC preparation, most of the copies are evaluated by students themselves, and this seriously hurts the aspirants because those who are checking the copies are not experienced in themselves. So I would say find the right mentor, be sincere enough, and if you are sincere enough, they will give you time. I came to Shabbir Sir, I gave him my copies, and he read it, took 15 minutes to read an essay, and gave me personalized advice, and which worked for me. And this is because experience matters. I went to my home. I wrote everything on the chat GPT and said, summarize it for me. Give me the principles on the basis of which sir is talking. I wrote that down and then try to implement it in the next. And it is only through iterations that one can learn. So this is my bit on essay.
Thank you so much. I feel humbled.
Wonderful. So,
Okay. Thanks a lot for acknowledging whatever small role I might have had and Edukemy might have had. So probably this I can quickly relate to one of the questions. One of your friends asking, okay, is it the right time to join a course, or whether you should join a coaching or not? I will leave it to Puru to answer that. How important is coaching? How important is to join a class? Yeah, Puru.
Sir, coaching, to take coaching or not to take depends upon where the person stands. If one is very far away from what the UPSC essay paper demands, then it's not bad to take help. In fact, it's very I would say, intelligent to take help if required. And coaching also helps in certain sense because as students, we generally do not have experience of reading and writing. We are the Gen Z age, so we have not read very much, lot of material. So when we take help, we get the methods, frameworks that have been distilled down through years of experience. And once we are uh, writing on that lines, we can gain easily in comparison to not having the help. So for me, coaching mattered, but this is not something that is applicable to everyone. So find where you are and then decide.
and Puru, from your last answer and this answer, I'm just triangulating things. I think what you're also saying is the right teacher or the right mentor matters more than I should join a class. You should join the right class. That's what you're saying, and join a class where your mentor or whoever you are taking training from. It might be an institute, it might be senior or whoever, right? That person has time. That person has time to invest in you and actually read through your answers. And lot of Shabbir, lot of students ask, sometimes comment that in Telegram we do this free evaluation, free checking, and I can tell students this is the reason I do it, because I know I cannot do everything, so I limit it to 8 or 10, but I make sure I read through your answers and actually give you personalized advice, because otherwise there are two things happening there. So one thing is what Puru said is you have to write. Okay, when you write, your mind starts crystallizing that thought, what you have read. So one of my mentors used to say, if you read 100 pages, you'll be able to write one page. And I, as a writer, can vouch for that, that if you have read 100 pages, you may able to just write one page. And that means that you cannot study model answers and walk into the essay paper. You have to write, and this is why we, in our Telegram channel, we focus on building your arguments and actually writing them down. And we could even feed it to some GPT and give you your answers, but no, that's fine, that you can do anyway. So I think our objective is we personalized providing you feedback. So if those of you are answering at least 8-10 ho, but you get the right feedback. So I think just moving on, Shabbir, I think there's so many questions. I'm kind of trying to filter out what makes sense. So Kashvi Chaudhary 4786 says, basically brainstorm the topic is what we have to do, sir, considering all possible dimensions. So I think what is asking is, okay, I got the topic. Is this what you're telling me? Do I just need to brainstorm and find the dimensions? Puru, what do you have to say to that?
Sir, in the essay, while writing the essay paper, of course, brainstorming is important. But while we are preparing, we can do a little more. We can engage with the topic. As I told that if we care enough about the topic, it must run into our head. Uh, I I gen I genuinely care for climate change. It's not that I read it only for the UPSC examination, and that is why I go through Down to Earth. I go through Indian Express. I go through the Hindu, the columnists, what they're writing, where the word is going. I care about the issue of equity, and that's why uh, I'm worried about it, and that's why things run into my head. So if one does it, brainstorming eventually happens on that final day. So this is what I'm trying to convey. For me, there is no pill or there is no hack to essay writing or to UPSC preparation. I think the being engaged, being caring enough, and the process itself is the pill.
Wow. Processing your words will take us time, Puru. And I'm very proud of the fact that, you have been part of the process, and beautiful, lot of wisdom. I don't know, Kashi, if you understood. What's happening is, these questions like, shall we write positive or negative? Should we do brainstorming or not? Sir, should we take up a easy topic or a difficult topic? ये सारा जो है ना, ये type का hacks ही है. What Puru is taking is very different. Brainstorming as a tool आएगा. Positive नहीं कि लिखना है, नहीं लिखना, वो बाद में आएगा. पहले it's about understanding issues, reading about issues, thinking about issues, caring about issues. That's the process, and we have been talking about this always. Essay writing is more about critical thinking. It's less about writing. Okay, so all of you, please listen to what Puru says. If possible, I'll say go back and rewind the whole thing and watch him again and listen to him again. Incredible insight, incredible. So Vidyarthi asked, did you use AI ChatGPT for essays? If yes, then how? For content, for dimensions, how can we utilize AI?
So I
Yeah.
utilized AI in various aspects of essay preparation. The most I used it was for content. I did not have the time and the luxury to read almost everything that I could write in the paper. So I used ChatGPT for various things that I would be preparing, the content that I would be preparing. Let me share my screen, if it is possible, to show you just how I went about it. So, can you see my screen?
Yes, Puru, it's visible.
So, this is a note where I distilled down what I talked with Shabbir Sir. And I'll just go to psychology. So, I wrote down some concepts like Dunning-Kruger effect, confirmation bias. These were taken from ChatGPT, and some of which I could understand. Similarly, I prepared a list of poems which I might use in the paper, like if, be like the bird, stopping by woods, Invictus, road not taken, Dylan Thomas, Psalm of Life, etc. Anecdotes from articles, Knife, the book by Salman Rushdie after being attacked. Uh, Literature. If I have to write on deception, then it is Much Ado About Nothing. If I have to write about wisdom, it's The Old Man and the Sea. So I did all this spade work to prepare myself enough for the content. And ChatGPT was useful. I also, when I went to Shabbir Sir and when he gave all the advice, I was overwhelmed with that. So I just tried to pen it down to ChatGPT and summarize it, find me the principles for it. So I used ChatGPT profusely.
My God,
Yeah,
this
so
is a
I think,
different brain. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, Deb.
Shabbir, I was going to say that at the risk of sounding repetitive, this is another sort of Zen moment in the discussion. I'm reminded of the saying that if you want to learn about the trees, go to the forest. That's what they say. And what Puru is saying is that if you really care, first understand what's going on, go to it. And if you really care about climate change and you have gone to a beach and seen plastic strewn all over, you will have a very different view of the world if you have touched and felt the thing that you care about. So a lot of us, unfortunately, live in a world where we stay in our living rooms and we don't interact with the world in the way that is deep enough for us to build these perspectives. So that's just a wonderful piece of thought and very deep. And one more very superficial thing to add to the AI piece is that if you don't really have the time, Yuki also gives you the arguments. So you just put the essay topic, it will give you the introduction, it will give you 5 arguments, it will give you the conclusion, it will give you some examples. So all that is ready made. So absolutely use that. Puru used it for content. You could also use it to brainstorm. So, like, I'm taking Puru's example of asking questions to the topic. One of the ways I use AI is I get the topic and I ask all sorts of questions to the topic using AI, because sometimes I don't have the time to kind of go through in depth, because you might have 6 or 8 essay topics. You might find 2 or 3 you really care about, but there might be other dimensions that you haven't really focused on or you haven't really cared much about, but you still want to have those inputs. So that brainstorming is something you can also do.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's look
If
at.
if
I
if I
think lots
can
of
summarize,
compliments.
yeah.
I was saying, Shabbir, lots of compliments for Puru, so I just wanted to call that out.
Yes,
Go
yes.
ahead.
I'm just trying to summarize lot of things for me to process also. So game number 1 is start essays as quickly as possible. Rule number 2 is essay is more about thinking, feeling for issues, understanding deeply, and not simply writing mechanically. Rule number 3 is, you will have to have readings beyond your books. Identify what interests you. Okay, 3, 4 areas, read about them. Start writing, because writing is where the whole process is, but not mechanical formula-based writing. Use AI, okay? And in the process, you are not only building essay skills, you're also building a personality. You're also developing critical thinking skills, okay? And one takeaway for me from all of this is there's no rule as to what you will follow, okay, what you not follow, but just make sure you are guided well if you have a good mentor with you. Okay, be mindful of who is taking your paper. Be mindful of who is giving you the inputs. Okay, and thank you, Puru, for acknowledging the small role that we had. In fact, because we are in an industry, because we are part of a process, if you can genuinely share your experience with us, what did we add to your learning process? What did Edukemy do? Okay, briefly, we don't want to sound it like a marketing stunt here, but and maybe I'll take something back. How we can improve our own course. Puru, a few words on that, if you may, please.
Sir, as I told you earlier, there are two kinds of essay teachers. One that give you the methods, the hacks, and toolkits. Of course, you too give us, but they tell us the hacks to write essay in a way in 2 months or 3 months prepare for essay, and that is understandable because aspirant does not have time. But somewhere within these methods, within these hacks, the nuances get lost, and given how the essay paper is, I think nuances are important. This is what I was able to get with both of you, sir. I was also, when I was confused about my marks in the last attempt, I approached you with my copies, and you were approachable, kind enough to give me time to meet me again to see whether I have improved or not. And in the last meeting, you uh, uh, held confidence in me that I'll be able to secure. I think in the last days, these are the things that matter the most. So, Edukemy and including Sir, you, Sir, and Dave, Sir, have played a great role in this year's essay preparation. I'm thankful, and this is why I'm here.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Dev. I'm overwhelmed. A bit embarrassed too, but yeah,
I think
Dev,
Shabbir, Hemant has a question. Yeah, Hemant, go ahead.
go ahead.
Puru sir, I have one doubt. Like while writing essay, we get stuck in some of the topics whose meaning we don't able to interpret, or there's a particular word whom we don't able to understand. So, sir, to deal with that, how should we write the or start the essay? Because if we don't know what is the meaning of that word, we can just write something and the examiner won't like it. So it will basically reduce our marks. So, sir, what to do with that situation?
So, in the case that you're pointing out, I would say don't even try because you have to write 1,000,
Exactly.
1,200 words.
Thank
But
you, thank you.
just in case you don't have any option, and so try reading the Hindi translation which is written in the paper. Maybe it gives you a hint, and otherwise there's no option. At least for me, there's no option.
You cannot write if you
Yeah.
don't understand the topic. And thank you for saying that, Puru. Okay. Just leave the topic. Do something else. Right.
And if you're already moving ahead, Shabir, I think if you have already moved ahead and started writing, in the middle of that, you realize you don't understand the topic. You have already gone too far ahead. You should have stopped. So I think goes back to those first 2 minutes or first 5 minutes of focused study or focused thinking about the topic. I think that's very critical. Sometimes it doesn't strike us, right? So I'm, for example, I'm not a particularly high IQ person, so sometimes it doesn't occur to me what is going on. But 2 seconds of thinking or 5 seconds of thinking, and I'm like, oh, this is what they're talking about, right? So I think do that, give some time. And this is where I would like to point out what Puru earlier said. Practice is different and playing the match is different. In practice, spend an extra 2 minutes, extra 10 minutes trying to understand, extra half an hour even. So, every week we give you one essay topic in the Telegram channel, and I don't rush you guys. I'm not like, I want to finish this because I want to post something 2 days later. Sometimes I don't rush because you have to think about it and take half an hour, 1 hour, even one day. But if you practice 50 topics and you have taken one full day for each topic, then I am giving you 100% guarantee that you will find at least 2 essays to write that you know a lot about in your essay paper. But if you haven't spent that one day upfront, then you may find, oh, I don't know anything about any of the essay topics that goes on. So that's my piece of advice.
Dave, we're running out of time here. Maybe one or two questions quickly. And I wanted the students to hear this from Puru. I asked Puru before the interview session here, okay, Puru, what is it that you would do differently? Because Puru has been a good student. IIT BHU is not a mean feat in India. And a good academic background. He understands writing, he understands reading, good wit, and it took him 4 attempts. He had hit the interview in the second attempt itself. So I asked him, Puru, what would you do differently? And he came up with a very nice answer about he will not rush. In fact, I'll leave it to you, Puru. I ask you now, what will you do differently? Okay, you've struggled really. You've seen the highs of interview, the lows of okay, not making it again, okay, what to do differently, maybe for benefit of all our viewers.
Sir, I'm reminded of a quote: great things take time. And I would not try to rush myself. I had come to preparation thinking that I would clear it in the first or the second attempt. This is all what I needed, uh, at least in that frame of mind. And I was proven wrong. In the first time, I could not clear mains. In the second time, I could not get through interviews. Third time, too. But eventually, I found out that there was something lacking in all of these attempts, be it in some GS paper or some essay paper, and I had to work upon it. And this is what I learned. So do not rush through it. Uh, you are preparing for one of the best examinations in the country. You are going to take responsibilities that will demand of you a character that has to be mature enough, and it will take its time. This is what I would say to myself, younger self.
Wow. Be patient, be process oriented. It takes time. In fact, he didn't say it here, he means it. It takes sometimes 1 or 2 years to learn the nuances. Let the topic sink in, let the syllabus be understood well. So I think we have covered most of the questions, Deb. There will always some questions. Anything you want to add, Deb, to what you want to ask something?
Nothing. I absolutely wish you the very best in life, Puru. I think rise and shine. And the thing is, what struck me is, of course, everyone has their approach, their process, their calm, composure, but you bring in such a sense of freshness and such a sense of honesty to the whole
Process.
endeavor, which struck me. Like, I have seen lots of toppers, so has Shabbir, lot of very smart people, but I am really in admiration of your honesty and your just freshness to the whole approach. And I think that's to me is something that will absolutely hold you in good stead, anything you do, whatever you do in life. So my best wishes, rise and shine.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Wishes to you, Puru. Thanks a lot. Maybe if you have time, sometime again, we might call you back for maybe some interactions. But thank you so much. On a short notice, you joined us. I wish we could ask him on and on. Okay, lot of questions here. So Aisha, and benefit of all of you guys, we have started an essay course. Like today was the first day, in fact, of the new batch, okay, orientation session. So we thought we'll do this as a part of the process. You're welcome to consider to join us on our course. We have an essay channel, okay, where we evaluate regularly, we give assignments. You can go back and check on the Telegram group. I think it's free essays. I keep forgetting the exact. Maybe we'll put it on our description. We'll love to be part of your journey. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Puru. Thank Deb, Hemant, all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.